boom, here we are. And this is number 18 of Matt's Chats. I think it's 18. I'm not very good at counting. Maths was never my strong point. But it's great pleasure. They just get bigger, they get better, and they get friendlier as well. And this story for my latest guest comes from a little post I put up a few weeks ago defending the rights of HRH, Hard Rock Hell, for those that don't know, and about how rock needs to stick together. And, you know, there's too many people out there trying to bring things down and tear things down, but there are good people out there fighting the good fight. And we're all in this together. We all got to help each other out. And there was a post put on a reply to that said, well, we're going to be there. The Dark of My Horizon will come and see you play tomorrow at the Hard Rock Hell. And anyway, we went and played. And I met the fella, and I met a couple of the band, actually. I thought they were great. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a listen to them. And I was absolutely blown away by the music. It's with great pleasure that I get to introduce, and I'm not worthy, the wonderful Mr. Paul Stead. How are you this evening?
I'm very well, Matthew. How are you?
Yes, great. Now, I gather you've been out playing badminton this evening.
Yes, one has to keep one's trim physique as good as one can in these days of delicious food. There must be a balance somehow, and I'm going to pay the price for it tomorrow, I can assure you.
Oh, you will. You'll be stiff in places you didn't know you had places.
I'm pretty sure my kidneys moved.
There's a good market for selling those, by the way. I've heard, like someone told me, a student doctor was telling me the other day that there's a good market for selling kidneys.
No one's going to want this one.
Did you win?
Do you know what? We did it. I played with Russ, our drummer, and we basically just rallied for an hour and a half. We thought that just smacking it about and trying to get points wasn't very good for the fitness. So we decided that actually we'll just keep moving. So actually it was just a friendly knockabout.
That's it. That's I want to speak to him and find out his side of the story.
Yes, he'll no doubt say he won, and he won there convincingly. I'm sure that's why I got in first.
We used to play when I was a kid. I used to play. I come from a big family. We used to play badminton like in our summer holiday retreat down in Bournemouth. We used to go in the garden, and there was an old girls' school, boarding girls' school next door, which is a story in itself. But they used to come over and take the mick out of us playing badminton. So we obviously swung them round. And my brother wrote this song which said, "Don't get your knickers in a twist." And we used to play that with the badminton rackets. That's just something I remember. I don't know if it was my love of girls' badminton or whatever, but that was my thing. I played tennis after that and squash, which was probably a little bit safer. Anyway, so enough of that frivolity. Honestly, I was literally about to say, it says my internet connection is not stable. That's great. That's either me or someone's trying to cut. That's Virgin Media, probably. I started listening to sort of some of your tracks. So tell me a little bit about how you got into it, because you were in Sacred Heart originally, weren't you?
Yeah, basically in the noughties, we were Mark Stevenson, the guitarist, and I in a band called Sacred Heart. And we truthfully are not overly dissimilar as the Dark of My Horizon to Sacred Heart, other than we've down-tuned, we've sort of adopted a more modern approach to tuning and sound, etc. But really it's still all about the vocal melody and getting people to sing along. And obviously Mark is a reasonably good guitarist, so we let him show off every now and again. And what happened with Sacred Heart, however, is we got pigeonholed in totally the wrong music. They said we were AOR, and we were not AOR. We have elements of so many different styles of rock, and my voice, despite the way that I look, is pretty sweet.
You got a beautiful voice.
You know, well, thank you. Obviously, I didn't mean it like that, but you know, some people look at me and think I'm probably a bit shouty or a bit growly or what have you, and I'm not. And I think that because of that and some of our sort of catchier choruses, maybe meant we appealed to, which is great. Appealing to anyone is great, but I think, appealed to people that like softer rock. And when we released our second album, Shake, we lost a lot of those people that were into the softer stuff because it was more true to who we were. We had a slightly bigger recording budget. And I think that it wasn't what they expected, but it was what we wanted to be. So we had lost a group of people that we weren't even going for in the first place, and had to start again almost from scratch. And it just sort of screwed things up. Anyway, long story short, we released 4 albums with Sacred Heart. We had a good run. We played some fantastic shows, some fantastic festivals, played with some of the bands that have influenced us. We had a break and we got the Dark on My Horizon going. It sort of all stemmed from, I wrote a few songs and Mark and I just said, let's record them. It'd be nice to check out some new software that we have. We were just really pleased with the 3 songs that we recorded, which were Closure, Summertime, and There's Gotta Be. And we turned around and we said, we need to do this properly. So we recorded an album. We got a band together secondarily, and we cracked on. And unfortunately, we are literally Spinal Tap when it comes to drummers. And we've had a lot of great drummers, and we've had a lot of great drummers that have also let us down. This current lineup with Russ on the drums, and he's been in the band for a year and a half, is just fantastic. It's 4 friends making music, and it's a good giggle.
You know, I'll tell you something. I mean, when I went home from on the way back from, where were we? Great Yarmouth. I can't remember where we were now. Was it Great Yarmouth? Great Yarmouth, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I put on Functional Dysfunctional, was the first track that I heard, and literally I just cranked it up. I just thought what really impressed me, and you get this sometimes with bands that work together well. It's interesting you said your friends. You can hear the fact that everyone knows exactly where they are, and so that the vocals soar beautifully, and they stop, and the guitar comes in. There's no clashing, and that's something that you only get when egos are put to one side, and you can really hear it in the music. And that's something. It's a glorious song. The vocals you say about your voice, it has a beautiful harmony to it, a beautiful tone, and it just wraps itself around you, which is wonderful. And then the guitar kicks in, and you just have this stonking riff that comes in off the back of it. It's almost like a perfect song. It's the sort of song I love to hear. You can enjoy the singing, you can enjoy the riffs, you can enjoy the solo, and I love that. I just love the way that song was particularly put together.
well, thank you. It's very kind. I mean, from my perspective, when people come up to me a gig after a gig or a performance or what have you and say your voice is spectacular, again, I'm incredibly humbled by that. Anyone that enjoys what we do is appreciated, but I don't need to hear that. What I would much rather say that someone say to me is, man, your songs, and I don't mean your songs as in Paul Stead, I mean the band, because I'm a decent singer, not the best, not the worst. What I'm interested in is people going away humming the tunes. And that stems from exactly what you said, which is not about me. It's not about Mark. It's not about Russ. And it's not about the other Paul. It's about playing the songs to the best of our ability and getting the mix right so that people go, oh, I like this. Foot tapping, singing along. That is really the aim of the game. Not about me. It's not about Mark. It's not about Russ. And it's not about the other Paul.
Well, there are 2 places I listen to music, and people who follow my match chats, I'm not sure there's more than 100. There's 100 different people every time, or the same 100 people when I do these. When I was talking to Els Bailey about this, you know, and it's this kind of like, I like to cook. I like to cook and I listen to music. There's any time I can have music up loud in the house is when I'm cooking, or if I'm in the car. There's certain songs you put on in the car where you'll stop the car and I think I need to listen to this. Or there's certain cars that glide. Your music blends with the car, so I drive. I can go fast. That was Beth Blade. That was the one I was speaking to. She was just saying, you know, it's a song called Jack and Coke, which just made me want to drive faster. But with your songs, there's another one called I think it was No Superstar. I think I was another one. It's things that
No superhero.
No Superhero.
Yeah.
That's it. Really, another great song. Great, and I like songs that I can feel while I'm driving, while I'm doing something that just. Do you know what I mean? It's a very organic thing that you've got going on there. It's a very intelligently written, you're a really nice guy. All your band are nice guys, and I'm not just saying that we're talking now. I felt that at the time when we talked afterwards. But you've got the sort of voice where you could probably read bedtime stories. I think that'd be very good. You've got a very pleasant voice. I could probably listen to you. You know, was it? Now listen to me, and I would.
You know, we say this all the time. We say it when we're on stage. We say it again at shows. We say it when we do stuff like this with people like your good self, is that we take the music seriously. We don't necessarily take ourselves overly seriously.
Yeah.
And that's because we are music fans too. And we turned up, for example, at your show the other day because we were utterly impressed with you and in Great Yarmouth. I also like your enthusiasm a great deal. And again, you lot are all very approachable, very nice chaps, and you're very good. What I enjoyed about your cover set the other day was the enthusiasm that you put into that. Yet I've seen you do the same level of enthusiasm for your own songs. And that to me suggests you are a performer first and foremost. And we love the social aspect of being in a band. I can sit here, I'm in my front room at the moment, and I've got a tiny little house, but I've got over to my right a Mac Mini, which we do all our recording on. And I can sit here and I could write, no word of a lie, an album every 2 weeks. I'm very creative. It comes very naturally to me. What we do is we travel the length and breadth of these green and pleasant lands because we love the social aspect. We love bumping into the same people. We love bumping into new people. And then they join us on future musical journeys. And we enjoyed our night out with you guys the other night.
Yeah, it was great to see you. Thanks for coming down with that.
No, pleasure. We should do that more often. But, you know, life doesn't always allow for living, strangely. And we've all got obviously day jobs. And then essentially we've got a second job, which is giving up most of our weekends. But it's fantastic. And I mean, we're playing some shows in a couple of weeks' time where I know we got people traveling hundreds of miles to come and watch us. I can't ever imagine not being utterly gobsmacked and humbled by the level of effort that people go to come and see us.
Yeah.
So we invite people down to soundcheck. We invite people to join us for dinner before we perform.
I can't eat before I sing.
No, well, to be fair, I can't sing, so it doesn't matter if I eat. But ultimately, we do. Anyone that comes to see us play, we let them know that we're going to be down at a certain time. If the venue will let them in for sound check, they're welcome to do that. If they want to come down a little bit later and we go out for a bite to eat or a drink, they're welcome to join us. For us, it is an event. It's not just a performance.
Jim, that's really, really good to hear you say that, because that's the philosophy I've had. It's funny, this time this week, I've got this book that I've been promoting that's coming out. As I say, it was 33 years to live, 27 years to reflect on, 3 years to produce, 1 year to write, to get out, publish. But it's exactly that. Every gig, wherever you play, and you touched on that, we're introducing, whether we play in the pubs, everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a reason why they're there. Everyone's got a journey, you know, with the guy the other night with the wheelchair, or someone that's turned up on crutches or whatever. And somebody put me in my place many years ago. It's a story I'm going to tell you now. I put it in the book because it's so important. He came after a gig, came to see me, and I was talking to two rather scantily clad girls. And I went, yeah, thanks for coming. And didn't think any more of it. And about a week later, this guy pulled me up in the pub and he said, can I just tell you a story? He goes, do you know what I do for a job? I work for Tucker and Field Studios. My job is to listen for a dog barking on the moon or a plane going over in a Roman film. And I was at a blinding headache, and I came out of the pub, and I saw this band was playing. I thought, oh no, fuck me, there's a rock band. But I stayed, and you engaged in me. You made me feel so special that I wanted to come up and tell you I stayed. But I come up to you, and you fucking completely blanked me and talked to two slappers right at the front, and you ignored me. And I went, oh, look, I'm really sorry. And that was 1994, 95. And ever since then, every gig I've ever done, if anyone comes up to me, however drunk they are, whoever annoying they are, I will talk, I will say hello, and I'll give them the time of day. And I perform with exactly the same mindset. Exactly that.
Yeah, well, that's, to be quite frank, that's obvious to see. And I thought you were very inclusive again the other night. And I think that I've also adopted something which also makes, I think, me quite approachable, which is we all get upset by those that say they're going to be there but don't turn up.
Yeah.
But that pales into insignificance compared to being happy about the people that do turn up.
Mm-hmm.
And now I actually don't give a crap who doesn't turn up when they say they're gonna. I think they've missed out. Not only have they missed out on a good gig, they've missed out on socializing with great people. By that, I don't mean us. I mean the other people that have turned up with the same mindset to have a good night out. And I think that has really helped. And I think that I also live again with certain stories. In fact, we played with them the other day, Tigers of Pantang. So there's a very good story, which I'm sure most people know, which is they were headlining a festival in Germany. One, I don't know, Friday night, Saturday night, what have you. 60,000 people, they're headlining. They fly back to their own country, Blighty, and the next night they play in front of 11 people.
Yeah.
And the journalist that's there or whoever's following them around or what have you says they put on the same show for the 11 people that they did for the 60,000 people in Germania.
Yeah,
and
fantastic. That's
because that 11 people have paid good money to see a rock band rock them.
Yeah, we're totally on the same page with that. I think it's great, and I think the more stories like that. I mean, you know as well as I, you've lived through it as well as I do. The apathy, the indifference, the ignorance, the kind of backstabbing, the sniping, and the people with agendas. And I've got no time for it. You know, even now, and I've got this book out, and I've been in this game a long time. I've never had much success. I'm enjoying it now more than I've ever done because I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm doing it because I'm enjoying playing. I'm with a brilliant band. I'm really happy with them. They're like family. We go out every night. Yeah, I don't care who's there. They're going to have a great night because that's what it. And I feel that with you. And I'm really excited that we're both doing that Hard Rock Hell 16 in November because hopefully I'll see you before then. But we'll get the chance to share another festival again. And I think it's. I've met a lot of people recently since I've been doing these festivals. We'll play the cover set in a pub, and then we might go. We didn't call the Wild Festival. Go and do that, and we'll play every gig exactly the same way and the same attitude. And we've been tagged with we're a pub band. Yeah, great. I mean, if it means a pub band means punters coming out to pay to see me play or coming out having your beers and having a good time. That's all that matters. That's all that matters to me. That's life.
Well, I think for anyone that calls, for example, Original Ransom a pub band, you've got someone that will say you deserve to be on a bigger stage. And I think that, again, what people say about you, you got to take with a pinch of salt. Totally. Because ultimately, people are more inclined to moan than the people are that have had a positive experience. So it's an old, I mean, I grew up in the nightclub industry and I was a DJ for 25 years. So I've got a slightly different perspective on venues and so on and so forth than the average band, because I understand the other side of it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we used to say in the nightclub industry that if someone's had a good time, they'll go away and tell their two best friends. If someone goes away and they've had a bad time, they will tell everyone that's willing to listen.
Yeah.
And anyone that calls you a pub band is someone that's just not expecting anything from you. But for every one of them, there's 4 of those people that think you're better than that.
Yeah,
So
that's a good way of putting it. Thank you for saying that. We did, but as I said, it doesn't matter anymore now. Now it's walking away wherever we are, just line them up. Whoever is it, one person, two people, 10,000. I don't care. We'll play the same way. We'll enjoy it. We'll have fun. And, we're about to go in the studio to record another couple of tracks. Looking forward to doing that. But the same way, we'll play the Dog and Duck tomorrow, or wherever it is, and we'll give it the same enthusiasm. And we'll put up with the apathy. We'll walk through the door like a Western, and you get other guys sitting at the bar going, "Oh, who the hell are these guys?" And by the end of the evening, we'll be sitting at the bar with them, and they'll be going, "Oh, I've never seen a band like you in a pub before," and that's it. And we know the way it's going to go. But enough about me.
That stuff is that kind of stuff is brilliant, because we always get, and again, we always get not into rock music, but really like you guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's down to, again, the fact that we're just an incredibly melodious band. We're not shouty. We're not this, that, and the other. We're essentially a pop band set to a hard rock background. But the other thing that we've got that I think that is the most flattering stuff that people say to us is they say that we take them on a musical journey. We'll do a fast song, then we'll do a slow song, then we'll do a brooding song, then we'll do a pop song, then we'll whip the acoustic guitar out and do something a bit different, stuff like that. And I must admit, I would get utterly bored if we were just same tempo after same tempo. Mark's a phenomenal guitarist, but what makes him a phenomenal guitarist is he doesn't play for himself. He plays for the song.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm the rhythm guitarist, and I always say that the reason Mark and I work so well together is I've got no interest in doing solos, but also I'm the meat and he's the gravy. I'm the chug and he's the clever shit. And then it's just lovely. The comments we get, and of course some people turn around and say, you don't really keep an audience very well. And I'm like, well, we didn't keep you. So, I'll take one person moaning about us out of 50 any day.
You can't please, and I think, was it Frankie Howard? You say, please yourselves. I mean, the thing about it is, I think, and you've got this. You're a very approachable guy. Your band's very approachable. You've got great style. I listened after playing your stuff for a while. I started to listen to more the in-depth stuff, the intelligence of the lyrics, the way that you wove different patterns and things in. It's interesting you say, I used to DJ as well, so it's interesting I hear there's a couple of dancey kind of numbers I was listening to that you had with that kind of feeling, which was great, and it was interesting. It was never dull. There was always something going on, and for people who haven't seen this band, you must go and see The Dark on My Horizon. They're playing real. Where your next set of gigs? You're going abroad, aren't you? Next week?
Yeah, on there Saturday and Sunday we're in Belgium and the Netherlands, and then the following weekend, which is the bank holiday weekend, we are in Bury St Edmunds and then up in Sheffield. So we get about a bit.
You do. That's great. And do you find different reactions? I mean, going up north, do you find the audiences friendlier?
Do you know what? I don't know. I think that when someone or a band or a group of people or a sports team or what have you adopts an attitude, for example, like you guys have and like we have, I think it makes people who are a little bit shyer feel a bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
I think it makes the extroverts feel right at home because they think I can speak to another extrovert, and I wouldn't necessarily say I'm that. Actually, I'm confident, and I certainly don't lack any level of shyness, but I wouldn't say I necessarily intend to bring attention to myself. So I think wherever we go, people feel comfortable enough to approach us. And like anywhere and like anything in life, you just meet different people, different kinds of people.
Yeah, it's interesting. I said this to Baz of Massive Wagons, and I was saying that, do you find that? Because I went to see them in Guildford, and there was Supporting the Darkness down this end, and there wasn't that kind of You know, they think they were quite, I think, a little bit shocked by the lack of response that they got in that particular gig. I mean, that could have been for many reasons. Living in Surrey, I said, you try playing in Surrey every week, you know about it. But when you go up, I notice when we play anywhere slightly, I say north of the Watford Gap in Leicester or Watford, and we're going up to Lincolnshire to Calderwood. We're playing the Tap and Tumbler in Nottingham as well. The people seem to be really into it. They're really into the rock and just, I kind of, it makes you feel. I think London is a very kind of cosmopolitan city, and you got lots of different people, so it's very difficult to have the same thing. Although there's lots of venues that people travelled, but in these sort of groups, you've got people who know each other, who follow bands around. And I just think that kind of family. So maybe, I mean, there's probably a little bit about you say you go with the right attitude, you're going to get it. But I think you've got exactly the right attitude. And I think the people will warm to you wherever you go. But it's just something interesting. Your thoughts on that? That was all.
Yeah, well, I think that, for example, there's a venue we play in Andover quite regularly called the Rock House, and we are often told that we're their busiest night, and we're not local to there. We're an hour and a bit away, but we seem to have wonderful support from just naturally from people quite close to the area. So we turn up, we get them singing along, we get them. There was a drunk guy in there one night, and he, instead of me getting upset with him, I just got everyone to turn on him in a fun way. In a fun way, he was being a penis. He deserved it, but essentially, the whole crowd just essentially said goodbye to him. And I think what you're saying is true. There's an element of, I don't know, relaxed friendliness with certain groups when they come and see you. But we didn't know everyone in there. But we had them, but we had everyone along the same sort of lines because they're there with the same mentality. The other thing I try to do, and I don't know if you agree with this, but as much as it's nice to play festival stages, I prefer smaller venues. You can have more of a crack with a smaller crowd in an enclosed space than you can with a festival. Now, of course, if you're Queen or the Foo Fighters and you've got literally tens of thousands of people there that will hang on every word you say, then you can get away with almost anything. If you're playing to a mixed group of people, some that know you, some that don't know you, some that are checking you out because they've heard you on YouTube or whatever, you don't necessarily command their respect straight away.
You have to earn it. You have to earn it. I think it's all about unity, isn't it? It's finding a denominator. I always remember that speech by Mark Antony, isn't that speech that says, I come to bury Caesar not to praise him, and then he plays to the crowd's intellect as opposed to the crowd's emotion as opposed to their intellect, which I guess is
and I think that's something that I try to do in every aspect of my life, including work, is that I try to treat everyone the same. And I hope that comes across as genuine and not just me trying to appease people, because I just feel that I don't think anyone's better than anyone else. I don't think anyone that deserves more of my time than anyone else. You may have travelled 100 miles to come and see us again, but like that chap who wanted to speak to you when you were talking to the two girls, he's equally as worthy of your time.
It's because he is. I mean, it's the same thing. The biggest thrill I got from going back to Great Yarmouth, like 5 months after the last appearance there, was the girl in the coffee shop coming out and brought me the coffee exactly the way I had it and remembered me. And I just thought that was so nice. It's little things like that.
It is.
Or the toilet cleaner coming up to you and going, "You're going to do colourblind tonight," and then you go, "Oh yeah, of course we are." And it's those sort of things, and it's just, I think you're a lovely chap. I'm going to have to wind this down now because my clock's come up and said that's it, because we've been talking, because you're such an easy guy to talk to. Think about doing the bedtime stories. Now, I think there's definitely a mark in it for you. For those of you who want to check you out, you've said where the gigs are. The Dark of My Horizon are a fantastic band. They are an intelligent band. They got a lot of things going on. Please listen to them. Paul is a lovely, lovely fella, and it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you tonight. Good luck with your tour, and we'll catch up very soon.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me on your wonderful show, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
We will. Take care, my friend. God bless.
Cheers.
See you later. Bye-bye.